guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with a very interesting set. We've got 28 pieces in a dino bucket. This bucket is actually from Five Below. I had, for some reason, numerous people requesting me a ways back when I had posted a video of me kind of looking around for some dinosaur stuff, and I had noticed this bucket at Five Below. Then I had numerous people asking me then to, make a video on it, basically to review it. And I actually had a few more people reach out recently about this bucket again, even though I think it looks pretty terrible. But since people continued to ask me about this one, and I was recently by Five Below, I went in, kind of took a look around, and noticed that the bucket was still there. I decided to just grab it and make a video on it for you guys, because again, it's only $5, so it's not like I'm losing out on a lot of money or anything, and there may be something fun inside, who knows? I mean, we can kind of see some stuff, obviously, and I think the first thing I can kind of see in here looks like a potential Papo bootleg, but not really a whole lot to see here as we move around the bucket. Basically, you've got like some artwork here that shows off a pterosaur and the classic volcano and everything, and then you've got some footprints and stuff here as you move around, and then again it states 28 pieces. So I'm gonna pop this open, we'll bring it in and check it out. So once we bring everything in and we kind of pour it all out here, we can get a feel for what we've got inside. So first of all, we've got ourselves a little cardboard kind of I guess you could maybe call it a playmat. My camera doesn't seem to like it, but you've got some footprints, basically what we saw in the artwork there on the box itself. We also have the absolute cheapest sort of rock formation ever. Like, this is literally just like super flexible kind of, I don't even know what material that's made of. And then we've got a whole bunch of other stuff over here. This definitely looks to be potentially the cheapest dinosaur set as far as these buckets that I've ever acquired. So first of all, the very first dino we have is a Parasaurolophus, and we can see that it's definitely an old school style Parasaurolophus, as it certainly is in a tripod position. I think I've seen this figure before. I am impressed with the amount of fine detail that they've managed to cram into something so small though, so I mean, that's a plus at least. It is painted in an orange coloration, or colored I should say, because there's no real paintwork. I think they were just molded and created in that color. We also have a Stegosaurus, which we can see, again, very vintage looking, kind of okay detail. Again, I will say for figures this small, like they are pretty decent when it comes to the amount of detail they cram into these. A lot of the time when you get small figures like this, the detail is severely muted or non-existent, whereas these actually do have at least a little bit of detail, so, I've got to hand it to them there. And I'm probably expecting some, extras in here, but we'll see as we go. We've also got a very old school Spinosaurus, which we can see, definitely about as vintage looking of a Spino as it gets, and really reminds me of the way Spinosaurus looked when I was a kid, which is actually kind of cool. Definitely something about this figure that I really do quite enjoy. And again, the detail on this one isn't half bad. Like, these figures would be maybe kind of fun to repaint, but they are so small it would actually be kind of tricky to even repaint them. We also have a sauropod in here, and basically the majority of the figures, it looks like, are all just these really small sort of minis, and then they are just one solid tone of color. But again, this one fits pretty much right there in the trend of the others, where we have just the, fairly decent detail thing going on, as well as a very old school look and feel. Looks like the majority of this is all vintage. We've also got the Stegosaurus, so I was right in my assumption that we were going to get repeats, and this time we have the Stegosaurus in an orange color, whereas last time we had it in kind of like a pinkish tone. And again, we've also got the Parasaurolophus coming back again, and as we can see, this time the Parasaurolophus is pink as opposed to orange like it was previously. Then we've got ourselves a raptor of some kind, which we can see has like no nails at all besides the sickle claw, which is kind of weird, but definitely a very vintage looking, very old school. Almost looks like, the way Deinonychus was presented in like the 80s and 90s and stuff. So it kind of gives me that feel of like a, vintage version of a Deinonychus. And I'm definitely expecting to see another one of those in here. I was really curious if this one was going to stand, since it actually has the tail up off of the ground. There we go. Look at that. We got it standing. Then when it comes to one of the bigger figures that are in here, we have this T-Rex. And I think it's a pretty safe assumption to say that that's definitely a Papo running T-Rex bootleg. It certainly looks like it to me. It doesn't look very good. The detail is now super generic and ugly looking. It basically has a green coloration with a pink or a purple moving over the top, and then you, I think, have some attempt at eye paint. Kind of looks like there's like, yeah, definitely some black that was applied in there. But the detail on it looks absolutely awful. The inside of the mouth looks awful. It could be maybe something that you could get to repaint, but I can't really even see a repaint saving that one. And it's got warped legs. It's not going to stand, so I guess we're just going to have to lean it back there, and then it's going to fall anyway, so what was the point of that, I guess. But then we've also got this figure in here, which I don't really know what species this one is meant to be, but I have absolutely seen this figure in the past. Kind of looks like a weird version of like an Ornitholestes or something like that, but I don't really know exactly. But again, the detail looks fairly decent on the figure. I have to give them credit. Whoever created this kind of took these sort of older style figures and just like amped them up a bit when it comes to the detail, because the detail looks a lot more crisp than on, you know, some of the other type figures that I've seen like this in the past. We also again have the Spinosaurus back this time, but with the pinkish tone, and the other Spino apparently fell over at some point. And then we also have a Pteranodon, and wouldn't you guess the Pteranodon as well has that old school feel to it, that old school look. Definitely reminds me of some Pteranodon figures I had when I was a kid. And again, it looks okay for what it is, but it's absolutely not going to be winning any awards or anything, and that one is definitely not going to stand. I could see that coming a mile away. We again have our Deinonychus, I think is what this one would be, potentially, or a raptor of some kind. This time again in the orangish tone. Got it to stand again. Look at that. We have the sauropod coming back now, this time in a pinkish tone. It looks like we have almost two of every figure in different colors, it seems. We also have some of these super old school, incredibly generic trees, and as we can see, we have different shades of green, basically just two different shades of green, because we've got a dark green and then a light green. And I definitely remember these trees. I had these trees or something extremely similar when I was a kid, so there's no doubt about it that this set is very vintage overall. Definitely reminds me heavily of a lot of the stuff that I played with as a kid when it comes to cheaper dinosaur toys back then. We again have another little area of like a rock formation and stuff, and some of these are like kind of okay. When it comes to the detail, like that actually looks kind of half decent. There's like a weird thing going on here where it looks like there's a trail going through. Same deal for this one over here. But you can see, again, just basically two small sort of rock formations that are included and painted with a light gray, so that's kind of cool. We do have some ceratopsians in here. Whoa, I almost dropped them, or I did drop them. As you can see, we've got, I guess that's a Styracosaurus, sort of like a very vintage, old-school version of one, which, again, the detail is kind of decent on the figure. It doesn't look absolutely horrible for what it is, which is at least one redeeming factor of the set. We again have the Pteranodon coming back, making its second appearance, this time again in the pinkish color. And I'm not expecting it. Nope, didn't expect it to stand again. The Ceratopsian for the second time now, we can see again in the pinkish tone, as we had it in orange just previously. So I'm definitely thinking I'm right when it comes to these figures having one of each color. And now we have some sort of an ankylosaur species right here, and as you can see, we have it in two different colors, again, the orange and the pink. So definitely the theme of this set. The detail, again, looks fairly decent for what it is. And then we round out the bucket here with the final two figures. We have this one back again, but again, now in the orange coloration, definitely shining a little brighter than the other one did. Now I just dropped it and knocked down that raptor. And then the final figure is this, which is a super cheap looking Stegosaurus, but obviously in a much larger size compared to the other figures that are in here besides the T-Rex. So that's really about all you get in this set. Let's go ahead and readjust the camera. I don't think there's much of a need for like sizes or comparisons or anything like that here. I really can't see that being something anybody's really interested in. I really more so just wanted to kind of do like an unboxing of this just to kind of show you guys what is included. I will say when it comes to a super cheap $5 dinosaur bucket, it's kind of fun just because, at least as far as I'm concerned, maybe like newer collectors and like younger collectors may not find so much of an appeal in this, because I kind of like it just based on the fact that everything looks so old school, and I love old school dinosaurs. And it also is like the same type of toys, again, that I played with when I was very young, like way back in the 80s. I remember having tons of dinosaur figures that were kind of similar to these. But overall, the figures are still very, very cheap. It does feature a bootleg for sure when it comes to that T-Rex back there. And pretty much anything and everything included is incredibly cheap. And you're definitely not going to be getting any sort of high quality release with this. But again, for a $5 dinosaur bucket at Five Below, I don't think you can really expect much more than this. So if you are interested, like I've already mentioned a few times, you can pick this set up at Five Below. $5 isn't too bad, I guess, for this. So head on over there, grab it if you want it, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.